So, good afternoon, everyone. I am Anthony Escabao, and we are the Group 1. And we are going to tackle designing the curriculum, the teacher as a curriculum designer. So, before we proceed to our lesson proper, let us, I will show you the learning outcomes. So, one is explain fundamentals and approaches of curriculum design in a simple terms, and differentiate curriculum mapping from curriculum quality audit and describe their importance in curriculum development, and apply the concept of curriculum design, mapping, and audit through group activities and class discussion. So here are the table of contents of our discussion. So one is the fundamentals of curriculum design, two approaches to curriculum design, and lastly is curriculum mapping and curriculum quality audit. So before we proceed to our lesson, let us have first a warm-up question. So take time to have an answer with this question. So what makes a good teacher? So can anyone answer this one question? So yes. So very good. Now for our we will going to tackle the fundamentals of curriculum design will be tackled by Miss Tipones.
So once again, good afternoon everyone. I'm Pamela Ibones. I am from BE Ed 3, and this topic will be, I will be discussing this topic, which is the fundamental of curriculum design. So fundamental of curriculum design, it is my desired learning outcome is to identify the fundamentals of curriculum designing and appreciate the task of designing curriculum. So in the fundamental learning, building on Peter Olivia's 10 actions of curriculum designers, this is presented by Gordon W. Taylor R. and Olivia P. in 2019. These actions will be used to guide curricularis in designing a curriculum. So these actions are principles that practitioners as curriculum designers can use as a guidelines or a frame of references. So which means the 10 actions of curriculum designers is used for a practitioner or us as a future teacher frames it's our guidelines or our frames of references. Next is here is the 10 actions about curriculum that teachers needs as reminders. So the first one is the curriculum change is inevitable, necessary, and desirable. So this curriculum, teachers should respond to changes that occurs in schools and other contexts. And societal development and knowledge revolutions come so fast that the need to address the changing condition requires new curriculum design. So this means that we as a future teachers, we have to adapt the changes of our society and enable for us to develop our societal development and knowledge revolution, because our generation is coming so fast, so we have to adapt. So the second one is the curriculum is a product of its time. So this means that a relevant curriculum should respond to changes brought about by current societal forces, philosophical positions, psychological principles, new knowledge, and educational reform. This is also called timeless. So from the word product of its time. So this curriculum is also called a timeless. This is a relevant curriculum should respond to changes brought by our current societal forces. So Thus, the changes that occur can coexist and oftentimes overlap for a long period of time. So this means that revision of curriculum starts and ends slowly. So in our generation, or in our case, so our curriculum, we all know that our curriculum changes, but this is slowly, but it also ends. So the next one, in the fourth one, is the curriculum changes depends on people who will implement the change. Teachers who will implement the curriculum should be involved in the development, hence should know how to design a curriculum. Because the teachers are the implementers of curriculum, it is because that they should design and own the changes. This will ensure an effective and long-lasting change. So of course, as a teacher, we have to know how to design the curriculum, enable for us to deliver it correctly, and to explain it, or it become our guide for our future students. So the fifth one is the curriculum development is a cooperative group activity. So group decision in some aspect of curriculum development are suggested. Consultations with stakeholders when possible will add a sense of ownership. So learners should participate in some aspect of curriculum designing. Any significant changes in the curriculum should involve a broad range of stakeholders to gain their understanding, support, and input. So of course, in the curriculum development, it is a cooperative group activity. So this means that we have to consult the stakeholder when it's possible. This will be add to the sense of the ownership. So next, the sixth one is the curriculum development is a decision-making process made from choices or alternatives. So a curriculum developer or designer must decide what contents to teach, philosophy or point of view to support, how to provide for multicultural groups, what method or strategies, and what type of evaluation to use. So of course, before we make or we choose the curriculum development or the curriculum that we have to teach, that we have to make us our guide. Of course, as a teacher, we have to know how to provide for multicultural groups. We have to know what methods we should use, what strategy we should use, and what type of evaluation to use. So enable for us to do it correctly and properly. So the seventh one is the curriculum development is an ongoing process. So continuous monitoring, explanation, evaluation, and improvement of curricula are to be considered in a design of a curriculum. As the need, the learner changes as society changes. As the learner changes, as the society changes, and as a new knowledge and technology appears, the curriculum must change. So for the development of our curriculum, we have to monitor, examine, and evaluate and improve the curriculum that to be considered. So we all know that our curriculum is changing. So we have to know what changes we have to know what changes that we need to develop. So the eighth one is the curriculum development is more effective if it is comprehensive process rather than the piecemeal. So of course, if it is comprehensive, we'll prepare process, the curriculum will be effective. So a curriculum design should be based on careful plan, should clearly establish intended outcomes, support resources and needed the time available, and should equip teaching staff pedagogically. Sorry. So of course, no, as what I said, if we implement, or if we use the curriculum, we have to make it sure that it is carefully planned, should be clear, established intended outcome, and support resources for us, enable for us to deliver it correctly. So the ninth in the ninth curriculum, it is a curriculum development is more effective when it follows systematic process. So a curriculum design is composed of desired outcomes, subject matter content, complemented with references of procedures, needed materials, and reserve and evaluation procedure which can be placed in matrix. So in curriculum development is effective when it follows systematic process. Of course, we have to follow the systematic process, enable for us to understand the curriculum and deliver it effectively. So the in the 10th curriculum, which is the curriculum development, starts from where the curriculum is. So of course, the curriculum planners and designers should begin with existing curriculum. And existing designs is a good starting point for any teacher who had planned and enhanced and enriched a curriculum. So in curriculum development, we have to make it, we have to design it from the existing curriculum. So an existing design is a good starting point, of course, especially for us a beginner. Okay, so that was the 10 actions curriculum. Next is the elements or components of a curriculum design. So this topic, so the next topic will be the elements of components of a curriculum design. So this topic will be discussing by Mr. Marikit. Thank you.
So good afternoon. I am Marika Sumikabo, and I will. So good afternoon. I am Marika Sumikabo, and I will be going to discuss about the approaches to curriculum design. So good afternoon, everyone. I am Marika Sumikabo, and I will be discuss about the approaches to curriculum design. So first, identify some familiar curriculum designs and approaches to design. And second one is to analyze the approaches in the light of how these are applied in the school settings. So what is approaches to curriculum design? So it is approaches to curriculum design are different philosophical and structural frameworks for organizing educational content and experiences. So the three main approaches are subject-centered, which organizes learning around academic disciplines. So learner-centered, which prioritizes students' needs, interests, and experiences. And problem-centered, which focuses on solving real-world problems through interdisciplinary learning. So each approach has distinct advantages, disadvantages, and organizing principles for content and learning activities. So when we say real-world problems, these are the examples to the students that they can understand through learning by doing. So types of curriculum design models. So we have three. First one is the subject-centered design, and the second one is the learner-centered design, and the third one is the problem-centered design. So subject-centered design, this is the curriculum design that focuses on the content of the curriculum. The subject-centered design corresponds mostly to the textbook because textbooks are usually written based on specific subjects or course. So Henry Morrison and William Harris are the few curricularists who firmly believe in the design. are already available. So, also, subject-centered design as practice, school hours are allocated to different school subjects such as science, mathematics, language, social studies, physical education, and others. So this is also practiced in the Philippines because a school day is divided into class period. So a school year is required for semester. So most of the school using this kind of structure and curriculum design aim for excellence in the specific subject's discipline content. So in any of the subject like science, mathematics, there are connections. They have connection. So when we say subject design, it is the curriculum is the oldest and so far the most familiar design for teachers, so parents and other laymen. According to the advocates, subject design has an advantage because it is easy to deliver. Textbooks are written and support instructional materials are commercially available. So teachers are familiar with the format because they were educated using also the design. So in the Philippine educational system, the number of subjects in the elementary education is fewer than in the secondary level. So in college, the number of subjects also differs according to the degree programs being pursued. For each subject, a curriculum is being designed. So in elementary subject, we have only 8 subjects, and in the high school in the college, we have the number of subjects that according to what kanang gipili gani nato nga kanang kuan kurso o mo na siya. Then sa discipline design, this is the curriculum design models related to the subject design. However, while subject design centers only on the cluster of content, discipline design focuses on academic disciplines. Disciplines refers to specific knowledge learned through a method which the scholars use to study a specific content of their fields. So students in history should learn the subject matter like historians. Students in biology should learn how the biologists learn, and so with students in mathematics who should learn how mathematicians learn. So in the same manner, teachers should teach how the scholars in the disciplines will convey the particular knowledge. So, for example, analyzing sources. So history students learn like historians. Next one is correlation design. So correlation design means coming form for correlated curriculum design links separate subjects design in order to reduce fragmentation. So subjects are related to one another and still maintain their identity. For example, English, literature, and social studies correlate well in the elementary level. So in the two subjects, while history is being studied, different literary pieces during historical periods are being studied. So example, while studying Philippine history, so in social studies, students also read literary works for the period the period in literature. Then next one is broad field design or interdisciplinary. So broad field design or interdisciplinary is a variation of the subject-centered design. So the design was made to cure the compartmentalization of the separate subjects and integrate the contents that are related to one another. So that subjects such as geography, economics, political science, anthropology, sociology, and history are fused into one subject called social studies. So language arts will include grammar, literature, linguistics, spelling, and composition. So ang mga subject daw kuno is kanang giusa na ganit siya. So mao na sa una is ay mo na kanang for example kanang MAPE. Mao na siya giusa na siya sa MAPE. Sama sa kanang political science kanang anthropology, sociology. So kanang giusa na sa siya through mao na siya ang name na niya is social studies. Then So this emphasis is very strong in the elementary level. So however, more concern has been placed on the secondary and even the tertiary levels. Although in high school, the subject or content has become the focus and in the college level. So the disciplines is the center, both levels still recognize the importance of the learner in the curriculum. So child-centered design. So this is the design is often attributed to the influence of John Dewey, Rocio, Pestalozzi, and Vogel. This curriculum design is anchored to the needs and interests of the child. So the learner is not considered a passive individual, but one who engages within his or her environment. So one learns by doing. Learners actively create, construct meanings and understanding as viewed by the constructivist. So in the child-centered design, learners interact with the teachers and the environment. So thus there is a collaborative effort in both sides to plan lessons of the child's interactions with the environment. So for example, instead of only memorizing poems, or students write their own poem about nature and based on their experiences. So that's learning by doing. So next is experience-centered design. So this design is similar to the child-centered design, although the focus remains to the child. Experience-centered design believes that the interests and needs of learners cannot be pre-planned. Instead, experiences of the learners become the starting point of the curriculum. So thus the school environment is left open and free. Learners are made to choose from various activities that the teacher provides. So experience-centered design is similar to child-centered. So example of that student if students like drawing, the teacher begins with art activities. And also before introducing writing or reading lessons. So next is humanistic design. This means the K influences the curriculum designs Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. So Maslow's theory of self-actualization explains that the person who achieves this level is accepting of self, others, and nature, is simple, spontaneous, and natural, is open to different experiences, processes empathy and sympathy towards the less fortunate among the many others. So this is, for example, a tree planting, a class project where students help the community. So through that, the student can be learned. Then next one is the problem-centered design. So problem-centered design, generally problem-centered design draws on social problems, the needs, interests, and abilities of the learners. So various problems are given emphasis. There are those that center on life situations, contemporary life problems, areas of living, and many others. In this curriculum, content cuts across subjects boundaries and must be based on their needs. So concerns and abilities of the students. So examples are given for the problem-centered curriculum. So the teacher give an activity or give the activity to kuan bitaw sa student for example data disability. So muhatag ang kanang teacher o activity nga fit sa siya. Then next one is life situation design. So this means what makes the design unique is that the contents are organized in the way that allows students to clearly view problem areas. So it uses the past and the present experiences of learners as a means to analyze the basic areas of living. So as a starting point, the pressing immediate problems of the society and the students' existing concerns are utilized. So second one is core problem design. It centers on general education and the problems are based on the common human activities. So the central focus of the core design includes common needs, design of a curriculum. So approaches to curriculum methods. First, we have child or learner-centered approach. So this approach to curriculum design is based on the underlying philosophy that the child or the learner is the center of educational process. So it means that the curriculum is constructed based on the needs, interests, purposes, and abilities of the learners. So the curriculum is also built upon the learner's knowledge. So skills, previous learning, and potential. So for example, grade 1. So dahil sa kaayo sa grade 1 ang ito pang high school. Pag grade 1 level na yun as a teacher. So there are principles of child-centered curriculum we approach. So first, we have acknowledge and respect the fundamental rights of the child, and the second is make all activities revolve around the overall development of the learners. So third is consider the uniqueness of every learner in a multicultural classroom. So in the subject-centered approach, this anchored in a curriculum design which prescribes separate distinct subjects for every institutional level. So basic education, higher education, or vocational technical education. This approach considers the following principles. So we have also the approaches to curriculum methods. So first, we have the primary focus is the subject matter, and the second one is the emphasis on bits and pieces of information which may be detached from life. Third is the subject matter serves as a means of identifying problems of living. Then fourth one is the learning needs accumulation of content or knowledge. Then teacher's role is to disciplines the content. Problem-centered approach. This approach is based on the design which assumes that in the process of living, children experience problems. So thus, problem solving enables the learners to become increasingly able to achieve complete or total development as individuals. So this approach is characterized by the following views and beliefs.
So this lesson will be discussed by Mr. Anthony. Sir, Mr. Anthony.
And this topic is to be discussed by Anthony Cabajo.
So once again, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm the one who be going to Once again, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to tackle the curriculum mapping and curriculum audit. So before I proceed to our lesson proper, let me present to you the learning outcomes. So one is define curriculum mapping and curriculum quality audit, and explain the benefits of curriculum mapping and curriculum quality audit, and familiarize oneself of So once again, good afternoon. So I will be one to be tackle this topic, the curriculum mapping and curriculum audit. So before proceed to lesson proper, let me present to you the lesson outcomes. So define the curriculum mapping and curriculum quality audit, and explain the benefits of curriculum mapping and curriculum quality audit, and familiarize oneself of some examples of curriculum maps. So what is curriculum mapping? So curriculum mapping is the process of planning, improving, and checking our curriculum. It was introduced by A.D. Hayes Jacobs in 2004 and described as ongoing work, not just one-time task. So through curriculum mapping, teachers reflect on how on what they teach, and how they teach it, and how learning outcomes are assessed. So it also helps us see the connections of our subjects to other subjects and grades grades levels. So before proceed to on discussion, the curriculum mapping is based on this is our basis on how we teach the learners on how they will learn through the assessments and yes, the assessments. Here are the three. They are producing curriculum map, a tool that answers key questions. So one is what do students learn? Two are contents and outcomes align across teachers. And three, how does my subject connect with others? So these three questions is aligned with the to be this allow the students learners to learn the lessons based on the curriculum. And this is the benefits of curriculum mapping. So aligns learning outcomes, activities, and assessments. So this means that when we want students to learn, what activities we give them and how we test them, and all connected, nothing is out of place. So the second one is that defines gaps or repetitions in the curriculum. So it makes sure what the teachers teach, what the teachers do, what is connect and contribute to students' learning. And the third one is to ensure what is taught, learned, and assessed are consistent. It makes that the teachers teach what students do and what assess that all align. And show with pictures, the curriculum is here. See how topics connect and contributes students' learning. So these are the benefits of the curriculum mapping, and the examples of OBE, out-based education, higher education. One is a matrix or spreadsheet. So this spreadsheet to make a table organizing and identify program outcomes. For example, is this BA and BSN. Course listed as subject courses of general education, corporate nature, and arrange subjects in chronological order, and place program outcomes across the top, coded as a PO1, PO2, etc. So, and cross-check subjects and with outcomes marked as a L, means learn, P, perform, or O, opportunity. And complete all cells, use the map as a guide to ensure the students achieve all outcomes by. So, this curriculum map should be a visual timeline show outcomes, content, skills, values, time, and assessment. So the curriculum map shows what students should learn when and how. And the quality control ensures teachers teaching is consistent and effective for all learners, and avoid redundancy is prevents repeating and missing topics across subject. So then these are the horizontal alignment placing guide. Same subject, same grade, same outcomes and timeline. So teachers in the same grades follow the same outcomes and timeline. So vertical alignment concepts build from to complex, avoid overlap, strengthens interdisciplinary links, lessons progress step by steps for the simple complex. So So this is the example of the sample of elementary science grade 3 on the curriculum. So as what can you see, the curriculum of the elementary science grade 3 is have competencies, content standard, performing standard, and other and parts of the curriculum. And here an example A is this curriculum of the college of the children in the educational courses. So as you see the difference of the curriculum of the elementary and the college is have difference. So the example of this is context of the one students know the practice of students, liquids, and the standards and thoughts, written thought and tested curriculum. So curriculum quality audit, curriculum CQA is a form of a curriculum mapping. It is a process of mapping a curricular program or syllabus against established standards. Is a process supported by Susan Murphy when she said that the best practice in curriculum development and implementation require that discipline-based standards embodied curricular and program scopes and sequence. The 2016 page of factor 5, the curriculum quality audit requires a written curriculum and the test curriculum length to both the taught and the written curricular. So it compares the curriculum with standards of the 16 says it should be follow the sequence-based standards which align the written taught and the state curriculum. So these are the benefits of the curriculum quality audit. So one is identify gaps and under the over-representation of the curriculum-based on standards. Two, ensures alignment of the learning outcomes, activities, and assessments to the standards. And three, it achieves an internationally comparable curriculum as standards become the basis of the curriculum analysis. So the basis of the CQ ensures quality teachers representation aside from PhD and CHED standards are also used as CNO, and EFA for degree programs of the elementary education and CNO 70s and 17 secondary education. So these are the quality in the teachers education. PPST, Philippine Professional Standard for Teachers, is used as an anchor for CQA to ensure quality teacher preparation. Another standards used with CQA achieve degree specific standards and second bachelor of education and third bachelor of secondary education. So that will be okay, thank you, and that's the all. Okay, thank you, and that's the all.